Hello and welcome to the couch. Today I'm joined with my co-host Ewan Grant once again
Hello.
after taking a leave of absence.
Yeah, oh, my bad. I was up in Indy for a job training thing. My bad, guys. I'll do better next time.
Yeah, please. Well, how was your day? How was your week?
I'm so
Before we get
tired.
into it.
I'm so tired.
So tired.
So
Same.
exhausted.
Um, well, I want to do a little NFL recap pre-draft because a lot of stuff is going on, and in the last like week or so, I think, and some of it's a little draft related. I think all of it's draft related, actually.
Yeah, a lot of these are direct NFL issues, but they do have direct.
Yeah.
They're big move. They're big issues when it comes to the draft as well.
So today I definitely want to talk about Jalen Milroe and versus Jaxson Dart because I've seen a lot of people. I guess like maybe a month ago, people were really hyping up Jaxson Dart, and then there was kind of like a week or two of like
There's just
didn't
kind of
really hear
like
anything.
stagnation.
And then now everyone's talking about Jalen Milroe, and so I just
Yeah.
want to talk about that a little bit. And then I want to talk about the Saints problem because Derek Carr now is questionable for 2025, so that's gonna be interesting to see what they do
Yeah.
on draft night. Then we got some other stuff like Teron Armstead retiring, Geno Smith extension,
Pat Peterson retired.
Oh, Patrick Peterson. That's less of a
Hey, bro, come on. That's up Optimus Prime.
that did. It stopped Megatron. He is up.
Yeah, he is
Yeah.
Optimus Prime.
But I mean, it's not as big as Teron Mark
Yeah.
for sure. But what do you want to start with?
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this Saints QB issue.
Okay. Yeah, and so if you didn't hear, the news is Derek Carr is potentially out for 2025. I don't know if it's the whole season or just a little bit.
The
I think
ESPN article title is Derek Carr has shoulder injury, Saints status iffy.
Mhm.
So
So I don't know if I'm going to assume this is a pretty long term issue if it's being reported this way
yeah,
because like Ian Rappaport tweeted out, he's like, now there's a QB question mark.
right.
And I don't really know what to do if I'm the Saints because I necessarily don't want to spend a draft pick this year drafting at a quarterback.
Yeah,
And
especially when they have so many other needs.
and especially because if there's good QB class next year, you don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah,
And because you feel like, well, I took a quarterback last year, we don't need to take one now. And that might be what they're feeling with what they did with Spencer Rattler last year. They took Spencer Rattler, and now it's like, okay, well, do we just let Rattler play? Do we take a guy? So I feel like there's three main options, and that's essentially let Rattler start
yeah,
the whole season and see how that goes.
probably not well, but
Probably not well. Draft a QB this year,
yeah,
and then that splits off in two because you got to draft a QB and play them like rotational guys. Just feel them out. Feel how Spencer Rattler's going to improve. Feel how this other guy's going to play in his rookie year, and then take your chance on Derek Carr.
Yeah.
In what's going to happen with him either later in the year or next year.
yeah,
Um, but I really think with there being a new coach, like Kellen Moore's gonna be in there. He does not want his first year to be Spencer Rattler potentially not playing good. I think he would rather take that risk of, all right, let's draft a QB with a late round pick, see how he does if Rattler's not playing well.
yeah.
I think that's the only thing is like using a 6th or 7th round pick on a QB, maybe a 5th.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are going like, I see going pretty late, like Quinn Ewers,
yeah, and I don't think that he'll go that late, Quinn Ewers, but there's some other guys.
Dylan Gabriel.
The guy out of Memphis who he was at the combine. I don't remember his name, but he kind of impressed me. Um, I think he could be a guy maybe that goes super late that a team takes a flyer
Steph
on.
Hennigan.
Yeah, I think so. And with how Rattler played last year, like he played 7 games, started 6,
Yeah,
4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 1,300 yards. 1,300 yards in 7 games is
it's not bad.
it's like 188, I think, per game.
Yeah,
But he was also sacked 22 times.
yeah.
Like that's not all his fault.
If
Now,
if I'm the Saints, my priority at that pick is either D line or offensive line.
yeah, it's at 6 maybe. Are you talking about 6, or are you talking about the rest of the drafts?
They're at 9. They're right before the
9.
Bears.
Sorry,
Yeah. At 9. At 9, I'm hoping like Will Campbell falls or Mason Graham falls.
Um, but that's the question to me: is if Shadur falls out of the top 3, and do the Saints try and trade up? I think that they don't try and trade up, but if he falls to 9, I don't know.
Yeah, if Shadur falls out of the top 3, I think he's gonna fall very far.
Well, the other 2 teams that I think that have a chance or might take a chance of taking him are the Raiders,
Yeah,
because even though they did just give Geno Smith that huge extension, I think it was an extra 2 years,
yeah,
like, they're still looking for a QB in this draft. It's been
yeah,
reported. So I think that if Shadur falls to them, and there have been comments of like how he'll perform at the next level, but he has good accuracy, and if if I think that's a good position for Pete Carroll as a coach, like
mhm,
having an elite quarterback in Geno, and then getting Shadur to back him up, and then eventually start whenever Geno starts to decline.
yeah,
Um, so I'm really interested, and then the Jags is the other team, because they did just give Trevor Lawrence a
yeah,
huge contract,
yeah,
and with a new coach coming in, this to me is when you see a lot of things, when fans start to get angry. When a new
yeah,
coach comes in, they expect a lot of change. If things continue the way they are, they're not playing well, and Lawrence still isn't playing well. I don't think that you continue playing him. I think that, like they did this offseason, they will continue to try and trade him, and
yeah,
I don't. I I don't think it's too far fetched for them to take a QB at 6.
yeah.
They're
You
at
make a good point.
what are they at 7?
The Jags are at 7, yeah,
Yeah,
because the
the
Raiders
Jets
are at
at
6.
8.
No, no, no. I'm sorry. The Jags are at
No, the Jags are at 4.
5. Jags are at 5. It goes Titans, Titans,
losing my mind. No, the
Titans, Browns, Giants,
Patriots,
Patriots,
uh,
Jags.
Jags are at 5. Yes.
Yeah,
So
Jags, Raiders.
if he
Yada yada.
goes if he goes at 5, like if he's there at 5, I don't know what I'm doing if I'm Jacksonville, because it also depends on who's taken, right? If Mason Graham goes to the Patriots, so then you've got probably Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, and Mason Graham.
Yeah,
You've got those 4 guys off the board, and there's I feel like there's a pretty deep drop off
yeah.
for those next, unless I'm forgetting someone.
Genty, I guess.
Genty, but
But
also
they like they the running back is not their biggest need. Like,
they wouldn't take a running back, right?
no,
They
no,
know,
they would not.
yeah.
No, no.
And so I could either see them trading back, or I think that taking a QB is not too far fetched. It's just teams get out of bad contracts all the time.
Yeah.
They eat money. Um,
Although, I mean, to be fair, w- I I think they could also be a dark horse candidate to trade up to either 1 or 3 with or 1, 2, or 3 and use Trevor Lawrence as trade compensation.
I but I just don't know if Trevor Lawrence has that much trade compensation.
No,
Like,
it would
if
not
you're
be just
if
Trevor Lawrence.
you're
It'd
the
be like Trevor Lawrence and like a future second and fourth or something.
so
But
like
like,
his contract is too big. The Browns, I don't think that the Browns even try
no,
and
the
touch that,
Browns
right?
would not. No.
I don't think that the Titans move away from 1. I think they've already said they're not moving away from 1. So then
Yeah.
the only logistical option for them to skip is the Patriots,
Yeah.
like is trade with the Giants, and then they're only hop skipping the Patriots, which they don't have a need at QB, so that's not an issue.
Yeah.
So then it's like, but if the Giants want a QB, they're not going to trade that back. So I think that, and I don't think that Trevor Lawrence has enough to move up 2 spots for them to trade. Like, I don't think the Giants want Trevor Lawrence enough. They got Jameis, they got Russell for these 1 year, this next year,
I think they have Russ on a 2-year.
maybe it's a 2 year.
I don't know.
Like, they already have these guys they're taking chances on.
Yeah.
At least get a rookie to develop and have some sort
I
of
also don't know what
investment.
the Giants cap looks like because I know the Titans have a decent amount.
This is his 5th year. This is Trevor Lawrence's 5th year, so his contract is not super big this year. It is mostly next year.
It's gonna kick in.
It's going to kick in. And that's the thing. I think that if I'm Liam Cohen,
Did they give him his 5th-year option or did they just go straight into the?
they picked up his 5th year option
The
and then gave him a contract
Yeah.
extension. So I believe. But I think that even if the huge amount of money they gave him, I don't think I think it's feasible that they move away from him.
What was his
If
contract? Is it like a 45 or 50 mil a year?
something like that. Let's look up the details.
Or you keep talking while I look it up.
Okay. But I think that it's pretty feasible. And but then again, like I think the Raiders are another team that could plan for the future. I think Pete Carroll wants to plan for the future with a pretty
5 year, 275.
5-year 275.
What is that? That's 50. Yeah, 55.
I think it's
Jesus
55.
Christ.
Yeah, and that's insane. But now a lot of it is not guaranteed. I don't know how much of it is guaranteed.
Huh. 200. 200 is
200.
guaranteed.
I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry. A 200 in guaranteed money, 142 guaranteed at signing. Like fully guaranteed, 142 mil. So
yeah,
like
that's
just under half.
yeah. So that's not like it's bad. It's bad, but it's not
Oh yeah.
Deshaun Watson bad.
Yeah, it's
And
yeah.
and at least Trevor Lawrence will play. Like he's not as injury prone as Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I think if the Browns can figure out a way to get out of that Deshaun Watson contract, whether it be using like I mean, there's always a clause in a contract about stuff like that.
Yeah, and NFL GMs know, one they've been doing this
Oh,
and they know
100%.
more about it than us. So, and that's always the thing. It's like the Saints. How are they signing people because they know what they're doing?
Yeah.
And like they're like negative 10 million cap, and it's like, or like negative 50 million cap, and it's like, how are they signing people that they know what they're doing? But I just like giving Spencer Rattler the chance is I think the most likely option. But I think
Yeah.
there is a glimmer of if Shador falls, you could see him in a Saints uniform. And
Oh, 100%. Well, and I think they'd
because if he falls past the Saints, he's going to the Steelers, right?
Oh, 100%. And
And
I've
unless the
been
Steelers no, he's got to go to the Steelers, right? Like even if they get Aaron Rodgers, they have Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. Those are the only two QBs on the roster.
I've seen trade up scenarios. Obviously, I'm just saying the Bears because that's the media I follow. But I've seen quite a few trade up scenarios where if we don't have a guy like Will Campbell or Ashton Genty there at 10, we trade down to 21 with the Steelers. We get, their first, their second, and then a first next year.
Mhm.
And apparently that those aren't that rumor is kind of picking up some traction because I don't know what I hear is either the Bears are aggressively looking to pursue trading back into the first round, probably using that like maybe both of our second round picks or a second and a third, or trading back and getting more assets if we don't have a guy at 10. Because I think right now, from what I understand, our big board is like Mason Graham at 1, Genty at 2, or yeah, I think it's Genty at 1, Graham at 2, and then maybe Will Campbell at 3. But
I just I
I could see the Steelers trading up with someone, not
I could see
necessarily the
Steelers trading
Bears,
up, but I
but
don't think they move that far. You think they move 11 picks for someone who's
uh,
probably not going to go to another team?
the Bears did it for
I
Field.
mean, who else and how did that play out for them?
I mean, he would have been a lot better if we gave him an O line. I'll say that.
Yeah,
But
but it wasn't it's
it
not
didn't
even
pan
about
out.
Fields.
It
It's like
didn't pan
how
out.
much did you give up to do that? And then how much
It was it's about the same.
yeah,
Like we gave up I think a second or a third and then the first next year.
exactly. And so you gave up those assets. It didn't really work out as well. And
Yeah.
I think the Steelers are similar like they're in a similar position in which they need to improve that O line. Like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and they lost a starter this year. So to the Titans. So
Oh right. Dan Moore?
Dan Moore Jr. And so I don't know if they move up 11 picks, maybe 2 or 3. I think it also depends on how that top 10 plays out. I think that's the critical part here. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Saints do at 9.
I think it
It
also
causes a lot more chaos.
I think it also depends on if cuz in when you're in the moment, the GMs know exponentially more than us. Like during the draft, the GMs are going to know if there's a bidding war going on.
Well, yeah,
And if
I
and
mean,
if a bidding war starts breaking out for Shedeur Sanders, I think there's a much more likely possibility that the Steelers do end up going up 11 picks versus just waiting for him to keep falling. Because if they know that other teams are pursuing that, then there's all that.
And
But
and also,
I
but
don't.
also like there's other QBs in this draft, and that's what I would
Oh
get into
yeah,
next is Jalen Milroe versus Jaxson Dart. Who's the
yeah,
QB3? I think we got the 1 and 2s pretty settled. And what you said back to the bidding wars, GMs and stuff. Like, yeah, you're not going to know till the draft what the vibe is. But I think that even predicting it, you can look ahead and say, all right, now you're definitely seeing it on the Saints big board. You're seeing those QBs move up,
yeah,
and this is where it's interesting because they could also take one of these guys in the second or third, or even maybe later on, like Quinn Ewers or Will Howard. But to me, I want to talk about the QB3 because
yeah,
it's Jalen Milroe versus Jaxson Dart. And like I said, a month ago or maybe 2 months ago, everybody's Jaxson Dart.
yeah.
And then, you know, now we're seeing Jalen Milroe. So I want to kind of talk about this. Who is your QB3? And before you answer, let me just read you some of the stuff, like some context. Milroe's top receiver didn't even have 1,000 yards. Meanwhile, Dart had Trey Harris, one of the best receivers coming into this draft.
Mhm.
Uh, Jalen Milroe really didn't have any receiver weapons and still had like 3,000 yards, almost 4,000 yards.
Well, he had that really good freshman, didn't he?
No, that's on Ohio State.
Oh, the other red team. My bad. Don't follow college ball, guys.
And Milroe gets the athletic advantage, obviously,
Yeah, yeah,
and he had a better combine than Dart. I think, if not this like the same level, he had a better combine. He just looked better. And Ole Miss only had one more win.
yeah.
Can you double check that 1,000 yard stat thing, by the way, the yards? Because I'm like 99% sure.
Trey Harris one.
Just look at Milroe. Look at the Alabama wide receiver or receivers.
Which Alabama? Let's see. Gabe Glover. In 2024, Crimson Tide, Gabe Glover had 1,600 yards. Is this right? I also think he's a tight end.
Oh, that might be what I was. No, I'm looking at this right now. Team leaders in receiving yards was Ryan Williams with 865.
Oh, maybe this is like
Oh,
maybe.
this is 2024. Why does it bring me to 2024?
Yeah, Ryan
No,
Williams.
no, no.
Ryan Williams is the guy I was talking about. That like really good
Okay,
freshman.
yeah. Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay. I see it.
yeah. Their
This is
most was
talking about.
Ryan Williams with 865.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he didn't even have a 1,000 yard receiver, not even a 900 yard receiver.
Yeah. Jeremy Bernard, CJ. Yeah, but like he had two like 800-yard receivers, and then the next guy is 250.
Yeah, and then he had 2,800 passing yards, and he also led the team in rushing yards. He led the team in rushing yards and passing yards. Like he's their whole offense.
Who's their running back right now?
Jam Miller
Jam Miller.
had 600 rushing yards.
Huh. I don't know.
Jalen Milroe had 20 rushing touchdowns.
Oh my God, did he?
20 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I think Jaxson Dart's still my QB3.
See why? But can you explain to me why? Because
I think he's probably more NFL ready. I think 43, almost 4,300 yards passing, 29 touchdowns on 6 interceptions. That is a 5-to-1, almost a 5-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. Passing, I'm talking about. Jalen Milroe had 16 touchdowns, which is that's not bad, and 11 interceptions though. Like on 2,800 yards,
you said 20 rushing touchdowns.
yeah, that's why I think Jaxson Dart's more NFL ready. I understand the value of being able to scramble and rush, but like I think any NFL GM is going to be like, yeah, the 20 rushing touchdowns is very impressive. No one's saying 20 rushing touchdowns is not impressive, but if I'm a GM, I need my quarterback to be able to make passing plays. Not to say that Jalen Milroe can't make passing plays or doesn't have the potential to make passing plays, But Jaxson Dart he's the more accurate passer. He had the fourth best QB rating uh in this year's,
So I was just looking up.
and Jalen Milroe had the 16th.
16.
Yeah.
No.
14th or 16th. The page isn't loading for me.
I think I just looked at the 15, but
It's somewhere in that mid-teens range.
oh no,
Uh,
Jalen Milroe is 8.
eighth for QB rating because
Mhm.
ESPN said like mid.
No, I just clicked, but I also I clicked on the college football total QBR 2024 season leaders.
ESPN says 15th at 78.4.
I know. I was just looking at that.
Yeah.
Like I know what you're saying, but like this, it's the one is total QBR and one is just QBR.
Oh.
But continue talking about like.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just think Dart's the more Dart has also. I mean, to be fair, I don't know what the Alabama quarterback room has looked like the last couple of years. Well, I guess there was Bryce Young for a little bit. What, 2 years ago? So that's really when I guess Jalen Milroe really would have started for the last 2 years, and that's seen in his stats. He had 2,800 yards both years. I will say the first year starting, he did have 23 passing touchdowns. But Jaxson Dart has started all 4 years, or it looks like he started all 4 years based on his stats, or maybe he came in late his first year. And he's been fairly consistent throughout. Like 1,300 yards, 3,000 yards, 3,300 yards, 4,200 yards, and he's only gotten better. His first season was definitely his worst. 1,300 yards, nine touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But then he jumped up to 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 23 and 5, and then 29 and 6. That's not even accounting for any rushing touchdowns. And he has consistently gone up in passing yardage every single year. I just think Jaxson Dart is the of the two. I'm not saying Jalen Milroe couldn't be a great quarterback in the NFL. I just think that Jaxson Dart is a much easier plug and play than Jalen Milroe is.
Okay, so I see what you're saying, right? He's spent his first season at USC. He didn't start that season.
At
He only
USC,
yeah no
yeah, that would have been Caleb Williams.
he did not start. He only threw 189 passes. But then he started his like at Ole Miss for 3 straight years.
Yep.
But he did make a jump from 2022 to 2023. Like
Yeah.
he's got about the same amount of attempts with about 400 more yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at 2023 to 2024, it's really not another jump because he threw 40 more passes and averaging 10. That's an extra 400 yards from last year because he's throwing about 10, 10 a reception.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He's got
Yeah.
40. Yeah, like
Yeah, but his jump was 900 yards.
I know, but it's not as big of a jump as just
It's just looking at the numbers. Yeah.
and I also think that just because he has necessarily better numbers and maybe more quote unquote NFL ready,
Mm-hmm.
like Jalen Milroe has the rushing upside. I think he has the higher ceiling, right? And if you're going for a QB in the second or third round, you're going off what you can get out of them, right? You,
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest mistake teams make when they draft quarterbacks, like the Colts with Anthony Richardson. They get him at 8 when his potential is super high, but they have to put in the time and effort to get him to play games. And now they're kind of wishy-washy on if they want him to play or not.
Yeah.
So I think that Jaxson Dart might be a better fit for some teams, but I think overall, if I'm ranking who I'd take, if I was a GM, I would take Jalen Milroe because I think, hey, this guy's got the ability. Because if I'm on a bad team and need a quarterback, I want someone who's going to be able to escape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I might be able to win a few extra games using his legs.
Yeah.
And I think that like things can always be fixed. right? Like for the most part, you can fix mechanics, you can teach people, you can improve all that stuff. And I think that with the ceiling, like you need to draft off that in certain cases. Now, sometimes it's not the case. Some
Yeah.
obviously, right? It's not. That's not a blanket statement. But I think that if you're looking for a quarterback in the second or third round, you should be like, all right, we're gonna invest in this guy. He might not be a starter right away. He might not be our franchise guy, but we can get him there.
Yeah.
Or not a franchise. He will be a franchise guy. He won't be a day one starter.
Right.
But I think that to me, that's why I have Jalen Milroe higher. And also at the combine, they threw about the same. To me, there were no clear differences,
Mm-hmm.
and Jalen Milroe is just more athletic.
Mm.
And like I said, Alabama had one more loss. I
Yeah.
think it's just a lack of talent on Alabama's team this past year
Yeah. I
compared to normal years.
I don't know. I wouldn't say Ole Miss has the best roster. I mean, Trey Harris
Their
is definitely
defense was
good.
one of the best in the league.
Yeah, and their defense is very good.
So
But I mean, I wouldn't. That offense isn't like, whoop de doo.
that offense isn't whoop de doo. He threw for like for the third most passing yards. Like their
Yeah.
offense is good.
Yeah, and I think Jackson Dart is doing well with what he had. I actually let's look at their receiving room. Um,
They beat Duke in the bowl game 52-20. And then they put up 63
well,
on
I mean,
Arkansas.
it's Duke. They're not
They put
really. They're not.
they put up 63 on Arkansas.
Um, Trey Harris had 1,030 yards, so not a whole lot more than.
Bro.
Um,
They beat Furman 76-0.
who is Furman?
Probably a really small school.
Yeah.
But still, 76-0.
Let's see. Rushing, receiving.
Sorry, that was probably really loud. But anyways, to me, I like Jalen Milroe because of the ceiling, and I like the athletic ability. I think that things that maybe wrong in his game at college or things he didn't excel at can be improved upon, especially if he goes to the right place. Um, I think like what you said before the podcast, it's very similar to the Justin Fields situation where it's like there are questions. I think that Justin Fields was probably a better prospect, but I think there are similarities where it's like he's not perfect. Things need to be improved upon. It
Yeah.
really matters what team he goes to. And to me, if I'm the Saints and I'm Kellen Moore, who Jalen Milroe, if he's not the strongest passer, I mean, you can look at Jalen Hurts last year.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts did his job, and we won games because we focused on the run game, and he was efficient in working with that. And I think if the Saints say, "Hey, let's take Jalen Milroe later on," I think they could have similar success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm still holding on Jackson Dart on that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that if I'm a GM, I'm looking at Jackson Dart and I'm looking at Jalen Milroe and I'm going, yes, Jalen Milroe has a very high ceiling, and Jackson Dart has a very high ceiling. But the floor for Jalen Milroe, in my opinion, is so much lower than the floor for Jackson Dart
I think
right now at this moment.
I think it's a lot closer than you think.
I don't think so.
I think it's a lot closer.
I don't think so. I think the Jalen Milroe floor is like I I can't think of like
I think the floor is Marcus Mariota. I think that's the floor is Marcus Mariota because like he had a few good years in Tennessee, and then now he's kind of just been a backup, and he's a good backup.
yeah.
And I think that's the floor, and I think the ceiling is. I don't know about Lamar, but I think the ceiling is Jalen Hurts. I think that's the ceiling, if not higher than that.
Mhm.
I think I think for Jackson Dart, I think the ceiling is Matt Ryan. I mean, he's an MVP candidate, or he was an MVP winner. So like that's not a bad comp. I think that, but I think that's the ceiling for Matt Ryan. And I'm looking like if I'm going back in time, would I rather have Jalen Hurts or Matt Ryan?
Mhm.
I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts. Like, and that's probably a little biased,
Mhm.
but even if I'm trying to think of another quarterback, but like even if Jalen Milroe, Actually, I'd probably say his ceiling, his floor is probably Anthony Richardson right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's probably a
yeah,
better comparison. But I think like the most likely outcome is probably a Marcus Mariota. Um,
yeah.
but I think that you can definitely get him there. And I think Jackson Dart's floor is like, I don't want to say Ryan Fitzpatrick because Fitzmagic is like too special
Yeah,
almost,
yeah.
but like I think that his floor is like, I'm trying to think who is Nathan Peterman. I think that's his floor. Like
Oh,
some guy, like a guy that can just like,
just a random.
no, he has like the record. Actually, I don't know if he has a record for most interceptions in a game, but he is like notorious. He was on the Bears, but
Yeah, we started him for a game because Fields was out. It was a bad game.
he played for the. I don't know if he played against the Bills or for the Bills. I think he played for the Bills, and it was a game where Tyrod played a little bit, and then they benched Tyrod, and I think they put him in. He threw like 3 straight interceptions. Like, I think that's his floor. I'm trying to think of a more famous example of.
What, like um
And another one for Jalen Milroe is like another floor is like Vince Young. Like I think that's a good example. But anyways,
I just
enough
think
about this.
Jackson Dart is the safer option if I'm a GM.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
I'll go with Fitzmagic or maybe Josh McCown. I think
Okay.
I think that's a, you know, solid backup, you know, low end starter.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
I think
so
Jackson Dart has a Jay Cutler floor.
jeez, jeez, the Jay
Good, but
Cutler floor,
good, but never the best.
good but never the best. Well, we've been going for about 30 minutes. We can probably talk about one or two more things. I do want to talk about. I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Let's see.
Talk
Let's
about the
see.
two
Let's
big things.
see.
We talked about the three big things actually, because we talked about Geno too. So the Titans canceling the private workout with Shadur, I don't really think that means that much.
Oh.
When I first read it, I was like, that's odd. But
Well, I
then I
mean,
read it was mutually.
the Bears did it last year. We only had we only had a workout with Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and I think that's more about it. Like they think they saw Cam Ward at the pro day, and they were like, "Well, we just don't need to bring you in."
Yeah.
Because I read later that it was mutual.
Yeah, and I think Shadur and his camp know that. I think that they know that
Mm.
Cam Ward is the consensus one here, and
Or they live Shadur so much
oh,
they don't gotta
yeah.
see him. They don't even gotta see him.
I don't think it's anything big. I don't think there's any drama there. I think it's just the GM being just doing business.
Yeah, and then I do want to talk about the Sean McVay thing because this is a little fantasy alert. Future
Mm.
sleeper. This is why I'm gonna win the chip next year. Uh,
I'm taking Tutu
there
out
was
of
a
all
little
the first.
article that Sean McVay was talking about. Someone asked him like, "How have you used Tutu Atwell? How will you use Tutu Atwell now that Cooper Cup is gone?"
Mhm.
And he kind of admitted like, I haven't been using him in the right way, and that I need to use him more often. And I think it's such a pass heavy offense, especially with Matthew Stafford. And like, there's still Devontae and they have Puka, but I think that Tutu, I think that he's a pretty good sleeper pick.
Forgot Devontae
Yeah.
signed with the Rams.
They were like, well, let's get this old guy in here and bring in another old guy.
Yeah.
And but I think that Tutu Atwell could be a nice little sleeper pick, especially if like the coach is talking about his increase in production. I'd throw a flyer on him.
Now that you mention the Rams, I think they're a team that could take Milroe or Dart like in the second or third.
See, I think that just the way that their scheme is, I think they're more likely to take Dart because of his
Yeah.
skill set is more
It's
similar
it's more parallel to Matt Stafford, I think.
yeah,
And
more parallel.
I think if they were going to take a quarterback between the two in the second or third, I think they take Dart and
Yeah.
let him sit. Because how many more years does Stafford? Does he have 2 years left on that deal, or did they just give him a year? I forget what it
I don't know.
was. He
But
does not have long.
he also is old, so that's
Right. Right.
and contract years only mean so much when you're like 35, 36.
Yeah.
So um I really think that Quinn Ewers is probably a better not better, but a more likely situation for them
Mhm.
because they have needs on the offensive line. I mean, they just lost Jonas Jackson, right?
Yeah. To us. Yeah.
And they traded Jonas Jackson away. I think that there's definitely places they need to fill on the offensive line.
Yeah.
I they're almost 100% going to draft some sort of wide receiver at some point, and a tight end most likely. So I think there's some other holes, and especially corner.
Dante Thornton, watch that name.
Dante Thornton.
Dante Thornton. Not a
You
deep
see?
bag.
Oh my gosh. I think we're done with
Yeah.
right now. But
We're just talking ball.
yeah, we're just talking ball now because there is this he's a running back from UC Davis. Lan I reposted on my TikTok. Larson.
Lan Larson.
He has like one of the highest receiving grades. Period. Like
Like,
it's like
not even just for running back.
not even just for running back.
Everything? For everything?
Yeah, like receiver, and he's got like all these one-handed catches. Here, I'll let you watch this video, and I'll put it on the screen. I'll screen cap it if you want to play it. It's insane. It's like,
Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. He's just like palming the ball.
Oh my God. And then he stiff armed that guy.
Yeah, like
Oh my God.
he's a pretty underrated little sleeper guy.
They're all just one-handed catches.
Yeah, it's just like a whole highlight reel of one-handed catches, and then him probably like blowing dudes up.
Oh my God. That white boy cold.
Dream build.
Dream build.
Here, let me see it.
Damn.
But yeah, I
Yeah. I watched Steve Smith's breakdown on Tedero McMillan and during social aspects of sport, might I add. God, I hate that life.
Hey, don't let Sue Lofbaum hear that.
Don't let Sue. Hey, Sue. If you're listening, I hope cover your ears. She's not.
Nah, she listens. She's a frequent listener.
I'm not as high on Tedero McMillan anymore.
We should probably do an episode talking about women's sports. No, actually, that would hurt our debate.
God,
that would hurt our debate for
context. We have a debate in that class, and we were randomly assigned topics.
Yeah, and we have to argue that
Stereotypes about women's
gender
sports will never change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our argument.
That's we didn't pick that. We did not pick that.
Yeah.
We got that. We were like, "Oh, okay, cool, awesome." Like,
Yeah,
but
we,
now
all right, we lost.
we're the one group who's going to be like the assholes.
Yeah. Well, all the other prompts are like, "Do you like this sport?"
No,
just like
not that.
It's
but
no, it's not that easy. But it's
you don't have to take like as big of a stand.
yeah, we're on the side of evil here.
And so we have to be like, well, some people say this, but not us.
No.
Where
We love women's sports.
we love women's sports, but some people don't. And it's like it.
We
But
basically just have.
I understand the argument.
Now.
What we talked about in class the other day it made a little more sense of the argument.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that guy from the UC Davis
He looks good.
good.
I also heard that I saw a TikTok about Cam Scattaboo. And like,
I'm not very high on him.
really?
Nah.
The TikTok I saw was like, I forget what it was, but like it broke down his stats, and his ratings were like better than Genty.
Yeah, I mean he had a crazy season.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sure, but I mean he's also one of the best teams in college football. You know.
ASU.
Yeah, they were in the college football playoffs.
I mean,
It was
yeah.
a higher seed than Boise State.
Yeah.
Or at least a better team than Boise State.
They did kind of get destroyed though, didn't they?
So did Boise State.
Yeah, Boise State did get
So,
destroyed.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I just think that Genty's a better prospect, and I like baseball.
Yeah.
I can't say that any. Actually, Omarion Hampton is probably better, like or not better, but you know.
God, did you see that mock draft that had us taking Travion Henderson at 10?
No.
God,
You know how many mock drafts there are?
no.
The odds that we read
This one was like this one was by like an ESPN analyst,
Oh, okay.
like a professional. This is my job. I get paid for it. Sports analyst.
Well, I mean, they
That's
got to change it
taking
up sometimes.
Travion Henderson at 10. I almost punched my computer. I was like, how can you be so stupid? First of all, Travion Henderson is not running back 2. I'd put Quinshon Judkins above him. I'd put Caleb Johnson, Quinshon Judkins, Omarion Hampton, all above Travion Henderson. And we take him at 10?
It's such a dude. After Ashton Genty and Bayshaw Tootin, it's just everyone's tied.
Everyone's tied for last.
Everyone's tied for last. No, I mean, I think the top 3 guys for me, at least, are Mary Hampton, Bayshaw Tootin, and Genty. Not in that order, but, like, um, I
Oh, you
think
have a
those are
Marion
top 3
Hampton at
guys.
1?
To me, it's like yeah, for sure. But Trayvon Henderson and, like, Quinshon Judkins, to me, I think they just both have different skill sets, and they're both
Yeah.
really good, but, like, I think all of these running backs are gonna be very productive, like, and
Oh, yeah.
you saw such a resurgence this year of running backs, like Saquon breaking 2K, Derrick Henry getting, like, 1,800.
This might have overall for football, not even just NFL, just for football in general, been the best running back season we've seen in a long
Yeah.
time.
Oh, for sure,
I
and
mean, this running back class is so loaded.
yeah, and, like, that's why I think, like, all of these guys, it's so hard to rank them because they're
Yeah.
all so good,
Yeah.
and so I think that it's gonna help have a little bit of a resurgence, and you saw it this year with how little teams were throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just realistically, if you were throwing the ball more, you probably lost more
I mean,
games.
the Lions
And that's
ran it
all
down our throats half the game and
all
both
right,
times
bro.
we played.
Not on Thanksgiving, dog. They ran it down your throat on
They
Thanksgiving.
did. They ran it down our throats on Thanksgiving.
That's crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that was the theme all year, and I mean, obviously, if you're losing, you'll be passing more because
Yeah.
you need to chunk plays. But I think overall the trend was like if you're throwing more, you're probably losing, and
Yeah.
and then it came down to the Super Bowl, and
Unless you have a dog shit running back.
unless you have a dog shit running back. But like I feel like a lot of teams are going to be. I think a lot of the running backs are gonna. Every team is probably gonna have a premier starting running back.
Yeah, that was something that I thought too about. Actually, just a couple days ago, I was just
Where's the
you know,
trash can? Oh, Kobe.
all right.
That went to the corner of behind something. That's never getting touched. That's not getting touched for 20 years.
It was just a shower thought the other day. I was like, it's so weird how Julian's raising his eyebrow at me right now.
I mean, you can
Um,
see it. I'm on camera as well.
anyways, I think it's so funny how this year, like, the running back has been, besides quarterback, like the most vital position on these offenses. And like, it feels like 3 years ago, like everyone was kind of just pushing running backs to the side. Like 2, 3 years ago, they were kind of
Even longer than that.
the Giants wouldn't give Saquon a deal.
That was because he was injury prone.
Oh,
I mean, partly because he's torn his ACL, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
also
yeah.
because the value of running backs is so low. Like Jonathan Taylor sat out because he wasn't getting paid, still didn't get paid,
yeah,
and he played.
yeah.
So I see what you're saying. Like, and yeah, you're right. Like going back 5 years or so, like there weren't really any. There wasn't this surplus of really good running backs, and now there is, and you're seeing how vital it is because
All the good teams have like a good running. They either have a blue chip running back like you guys, like your running back too isn't some big name, but like
it was Kenneth Gainwell, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, he's good, but he's not like
Mhm.
he's not even close to Saquon.
And then
Or you have like the Lions, who have like Jameer Gibbs is very good. He's not top 3 in my opinion, but you have him and David Montgomery.
you're smoking crack.
Jameer
Saquon, Derrick Henry, Jameer Gibbs.
Saquon, Derrick Henry.
I might even put Jameer Gibbs in front of Derrick Henry.
Mm.
Derrick Henry's so good, but like, I guess going into next season, I don't know if it's like that. But
Yeah,
based on last
going
season,
into next
Saquon,
season.
Derrick Henry. What you got, Bijan?
Bijan had a really good year.
Yeah, but
He also carried that entire offense.
yeah, but like Jameer Gibbs, I like Jameer Gibbs more. I think Jameer Gibbs is better.
I'm trying to think of other running backs. Anyways,
David Montgomery,
Yeah.
Aaron Jones had a good season. Josh Jacobs had a good season, and he's old.
yeah,
Older. But I think a lot of teams, like, you're gonna see that teams who wanted to run the ball a lot, like the Chargers, they're gonna have a great running back. No matter who they take in this class, they're gonna have a great running back.
yeah.
The Raiders, who had no one last year, are gonna have a great running back because
So
they're gonna.
J.K. Dobbins is still a free agent, by the way. Shocking, kind of shocking.
I don't think it's that shocking. Somewhat injury prone.
I mean, he had a really good year though.
He did have a good year, but somewhat injury prone. And like what we're talking about right now is that so many teams have good running backs.
Yeah, right. They
So
don't
it's
need
like,
to sign a
why
guy
would I
like him.
take J.K. Dobbins, especially when there's a great draft class? Like that's what we're talking about. There's only like what we got: the Bengals, Raiders, Chargers, Dolphins. Oh no, they have Oh my God,
Oh,
what's his name?
Devon Achane. I
Devon
wouldn't even
Achane.
say the Bengals need a running
He was
back.
just
Chase
hurt.
Brown had an exceptional year.
I still think they take a running back. I mean, they got Zach Moss to start him, and then he got hurt, and Chase Brown played
I think if they take a running back, he's an RB2 role. I think Chase Brown right
for now.
now is the number
For
one.
now, until Chase Brown gets hurt, and then he has
Yeah.
whoever their backup is will have 180 yards or something. But like, I was just trying to think of some of the other teams that um are gonna be taking running backs and immediately
the
having really
Bears.
great. Yeah, the Bears.
Um,
Let's see, the Cowboys.
yeah, Cowboys need a running back.
I don't know where the Giants lie in this because Devin Singletary is pretty good, and then who's their other guy?
He's their
Tyron
new
Tracy.
guy. Yeah, Tyron Tracy had a pretty good year.
Um, the Commanders have Brian Robinson, and did they bring back? Yeah, they brought back Eckler, I think. But like, I'm sure
Yeah.
they could bring in somebody else because like Jeremy McNichols, he showed out when B Rob was hurt pretty much all season.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to go like I'm just thinking like division by division.
Jaguars kind of need a running back.
Yeah, they kind of need a running back.
Travis Etienne had a very bad year.
I think it's also just the O line and the whole situation of the offense. I mean the Broncos,
Yeah, bro. Yeah, because they lost Javante. Who signed Javante? It was
the Cowboys.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was the Cowboys.
But
Yeah.
I still don't think that's anything. I still think the Cowboys are gonna take a running back.
Oh yeah. I
Like,
mean,
and then even like I think the Panthers, who just gave Chuba a huge deal, like still think they take a running back. Like, and
they'll definitely go for like the two running back tandem. Like
yeah,
like
like the Saints probably take a running back at some
yeah,
point.
Kamara's getting old.
Like I just think
Probably
that
the Ravens.
these guys are gonna. No, I don't think the Ravens do.
You don't think they
Keaton Mitchell, I think they like him too much because Keaton Mitchell is very good. Keaton Mitchell is pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyways, like teams are gonna take running backs and need running backs, obviously. But what I'm saying is, these are like what the 10 teams that quote unquote need running backs, and they're all about to draft guys who this is like the best class we've seen in years.
Yeah.
So it's definitely gonna change a lot, and it's interesting to see this kind of reciprocal cycle of, run dominant, then pass dominant, run dominant, pass dominant. Because like you had like I guess it was like 10 years ago when you had like Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell, Ray Rice, or was he was like more early? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know ball that far back.
Uh,
Really.
but like, it's like every 10 years, it's like
There's like a
there's
really good
change.
running back cycle.
Yeah, to me at least. So, but
one thing I found interesting about this offseason draft wise is how far Jack Sawyer has fallen.
that doesn't surprise me.
Really?
I think he was getting a lot of hype, but I think that was just because that's who they were showing, right? Like, you college football playoffs, he made good plays, he's gonna be there. But yeah, Jack Sawyer.
I think he's. I wouldn't. I just saw. I always saw mock drafts of people taking him in like the late first, and now he's like. Every time I do a
second
mock draft, he's like a 4th round pick, 5th round pick.
See, that's the thing. Once you get to like the 3rd, 4th rounds, I think it's almost impossible to like predict. Now you can.
Yeah.
That's why I think mock drafts are good because you can like say like, okay, this is who I would take.
Yeah.
But to predict, it's just like the models. Unless you're picking every guy,
Mhm.
the like whatever app you're using just sucks. Like I did an Eagles one the other day, and I posted on Twitter. I was talking with some people, and they were like, "Yeah, I don't think Watts falls that far," because I got him like the end of the second. I was like, yeah, me neither. But he was on the mock draft, so
Dude, I had one the other day that had James Pierce falling to 39. I was like,
yeah.
give me James Pierce at 39.
And like some mock drafts, you'll see like the Eagles are like are gonna take James Pierce, and it's like it's I don't know. It's so wild because like I did a mock draft the other day that it went like the Bears got Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
It was like auto picking, and the Bears somehow got Travis Hunter. I was like, what is going on?
Which one did you use? Because one of
PFF.
them. Oh,
What do you use?
PFF. Oh no, use Pro Football Network. That's the one I use.
Yes, sorry.
That's weird because I've never had the one I used.
No, I was using PFF. I like PFF.
Oh, like Pro Football Focus.
Yes.
Oh, that's wild from PFF.
Well, I think it was just random because I did another one and that didn't happen. I don't know, but
Jack Sawyer's a guy I could see us taking in like the 5th if he falls.
5th? Yeah, he's not falling that far.
Hey, he's fallen to the 5th in a lot of the mock drafts I do. He's a very Dennis Allen-esque player. 6'5", 260. That is the Dennis Allen archetype.
That just sounds like a football archetype.
And he had 9 sacks at Ohio State,
Damn, this guy's good. He is a Dennis Allen archetype.
That's Dennis Allen's. Dennis Allen likes big
I know.
defensive linemen.
I'm just busting on your balls.
I love Alfred Collins. I love him.
Oh my gosh.
Dennis Allen draft Alfred Collins.
Jesus. Yeah, we can talk more about draft stuff next week too. Just
Yeah.
our favorite guys, but because we've been going for like 50 minutes now. But yeah, I think this is a good a little recap of some stuff that's going on before the draft.
Yep.
Oh, I gotta listen to the screen recording of myself. But yeah, so thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you tune in next week.
I know BT Grant's with his buddies right now up in the UP.
UP is
Love
BT
fellas.
Grant watching? Is he like?
Maybe.
Do you have like proof that he's watching?
I don't know. He always tells me he's gonna listen to him. I don't know. One day,
Okay,
did I tell you?
BT Grant, if you're listening, text Ewan. What should he text?
Pee pee poo poo ha ha.
No, that's terrible.
Okay, sorry. Don't text me that, Dad.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
If you were listening to this episode, don't text Ewan pee pee poo poo ha ha balls. That's how we really know.
Text me yours. If you're listening,
Wait.
your bank account information was a phone number. Text that.
BT Grant, if you were listening, make sure to send me some Pokemon pack. Just send me. You can send them to you, and he'll give them to me.
I'll handle it.
Actually no, send them to you, and I definitely won't open them. They are for him. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya. Bang.
This podcast is produced by Student Media. Student Media is a student organization at the University of Evansville. Student Media produces the Crescent magazine published online and in print 3 times a semester. Student Media produces several podcasts and utilizes design, photography, video, and sound for its experimental and academic learning in journalistic endeavors and engaging storytelling. Student Media elevates the voice of the student body and connects the campus and community to important information and points of view.